Welcome back, everybody. This is Laurie-Ann. I am your host of the Be in Demand Show. And today is a special speaker breakthrough session. And if this is the first time you've ever listened to a speaker breakthrough session, it is where somebody in my audience, not one of my clients, has raised their hand and said, yes, they would like to have some coaching. And today, Sue Willoughby is here. She's one of those people. Thank you so much, Sue, for saying yes. And if you would like to book your very own session, stick around to the end. Sue, welcome to the show.
Hi, Laurie-Ann. I'm excited to be here today. And as I told you before we got on the air, a little bit nervous.
Where did the butterflies or nervousness come from?
I don't know. It's funny because I host my own podcast. I've been on probably over 60 shows. I've been a corporate trainer for many years. And I don't know why talking to you and thinking about making speakership, as anyone what you call it, a reality, I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So that's where the nervous comes from.
Is it around getting your voice out there or being in front of people, sharing a message?
Yes, and yes, and I love sharing my message when I'm
Mhm.
a guest on somebody else's podcast. I love it, and I've got a pretty specific message that they have me on for, and that I enjoy talking about. But I do have a really good backstory and how I got to where I am today. I think the scariest part of it is the getting on stage part. So speaking in person in front of an audience. Now, it's not that I have not done this before, but it brings back fearful moments of when I had done some stand-up comedy and froze on stage and just stood there staring at everybody. I do much more with free form, right? And, conversational stuff and less I feel more stressed out when I am doing something pre-recorded or, a specific message and have to stay on topic or whatever.
Okay, can
What
we just go back to that moment
which one?
where you froze on stage?
Yes. Oh, yeah, let's
And
yes, please.
let's go. And you were staring at the audience. Like I believe that every thought of ours is a
Mhm.
story.
Yeah.
So tell yourself the right story. So right now, what's the story that you're telling yourself about when you were staring at the audience?
I had just forgotten my lines. And the same thing when I had done some or dabbled in acting. I got nervous that I was gonna drop a line, and of course, I did drop a line.
Mm,
So it's all about that, memorization and having to say the right thing, and that makes me nervous. And so because I had a specific set that I was supposed to do in the 5 minutes time, by the way, when you're doing stand-up comedy, 5 minutes is like 5 hours, FYI. You're praying for the red light to come on and for the music to come on and then get the heck off the stage. All right.
okay, so what if you told yourself that you staring at the audience was part of the act?
Yeah, maybe.
What
It was part of the act.
there we go, it was part of the act.
Wasn't an intentional part of the act. And it was funny because, Laurie-Ann, how I got out of it was I admitted, not that it was part of the act, but I just said, "I have no idea what I was supposed to say next." And then everybody laughed, and I'm like, "Okay, good, they're laughing." And I'm like, "Keep it up." And then eventually it just came back to me, and I moved on.
There you go, so it was a success.
Yes, I
There
made
you
it
go.
off the stage alive.
Ah, you did, fantastic.
Yeah.
Alright, so the reason why I wanted you to rethink that is so that you stop labeling it as I froze on stage and it was a terrible event. It's like a little nightmare about another form of speaking.
Mhm.
You made them laugh. That's the whole point.
Yeah, not easy.
Ta-da, ta-da. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different things right now, but would you tell the audience what it is that you do?
Oh, for my coaching business?
Yeah, what do you do
Yes.
right now? You already mentioned that you have a podcast, you've done some coaching, you've done some stand-up comedy, some acting. Wow.
A little bit of everything.
Mm.
Primarily, I am currently an equus coach, and by that, I mean I use horses. I partner with horses in my one-on-one coaching practice to connect with the clients on a level that is very heart-centered, and I use the horses as a feedback loop. So they're
Mhm.
part of the session, and they provide really amazing nonverbal feedback, which creates an opportunity for me to ask really informed coaching questions.
I can just imagine what this is like
Yeah.
because I just feel like animals are so intuitive.
Mm.
And especially horses, like, they sense your energy, they feel your energy. So depending on how you answer a question, like, for you to be able to pick up on the nuances about the way that the horse reacts, that's really interesting to me.
Mm.
So, what's your podcast about?
It's entitled Midlife Strategies for Badass Women, and I have mostly female
Mhm,
guests on. I do some
mhm.
solo episodes, but I have mostly female guests on and a few amazing guys. Uh, you sent me one, so that's why I said that. Who have been through things in their lives and have come out on the other side. So they've
Mm,
gone through trauma or they've gone through transitions in their careers, in their lives. They've lost children, any number of things, but yet they've come out on the other side and they're stronger because of it. So a lot of my guests fall into that category. And I believe that they inspire my listeners to
mm,
do the same, to get out of their comfort zone, to be able to understand why they're stuck. And
yeah.
if they don't get enough from my podcast, then they can come see me as a midlife strategist. So
Yes. Okay. So what would you like to get out of our time together?
that $150,000 speaking gig that you said, nothing much. Um, I mean, I have the personality. I love making people laugh. I love talking to people. I love connecting with them. I do really good one-on-one in a conversational setting.
Okay.
Um, and you know, I want to be able to, like I said, if I went back to stand up and got up on a stage to do 5 minutes, I probably could and be perfectly fine. I think that I'm in a different headspace. I'm in a different space emotionally,
Mhm.
but still, there's a lot of things that go into speaking on a stage versus speaking behind a mic.
Is there?
I don't, well, there's about, a lot of people in the audience, we're hoping. Uh, I have done stand-up training, but once again, it's the script thing that makes me nervous. So how do I think
What do you
maybe
mean
how do I get over there?
script thing?
Well, like if you have a talk or
Mhm.
signature speech, it's scripted, and I'm using the air quotes for those of you who can't see my fingers. And that puts me in a place of anxiety.
Okay. Let me share a secret with you.
Please.
One, in the speaking world, we say the more they laugh, the more money you make.
Oh, good. Well,
Okay. Even
thank
if
you.
you have a delicate topic, like I've recently, like actually with somebody that you sent my way, Abigail, who talks about
Mm,
death,
yes.
die better. I mean, how many meeting planners are going to are rushing to book that topic? But if she can be really funny about it, and I think that she can, because I think there's a lot of humor around it, like the more they laugh, the more money you make. The other thing I want to share with you is you don't have to memorize your speech.
Okay.
Okay, there's 2 sections that I recommend to my clients to memorize. Everything else, which is the middle of the speech, you can ad lib. You can just have your bullets, you know what stories you're gonna tell, and you just tell the story a little different. You make the lesson a little different, but the beginning of your speech and the ending of your speech. The beginning of your speech, because we all get those butterflies. We're a little nervous, and if you know exactly what you're going to say, and it basically falls out of your mouth like it's supposed to, by the time you're done your opening and your authority section, that's when the butterflies settle down, and then you can go into your bullets and more ad lib. And then the other section that I tell people that I think you should memorize is your ending, because you should know exactly how long your ending is. I want you to make sure that your audience always hears your call to action. I don't want a meeting planner. I don't want a coach saying, okay, great. Like we're running overtime. It's lunch now. I want you to be able to look up at a clock, see that I have 10 minutes till I have to end, and my close is 8 minutes long.
Okay.
it's okay to end a few minutes early, then go a couple or a few minutes over.
Mm.
Always err on the side of like end early, but as long as you know exactly how long this is, you're going to get your call to action in for the audience.
Okay.
So now that you know that you don't have to memorize a 50-minute speech, what's holding you back?
That's a good question. No. How does one get booked?
God, there's so much opportunity that's out there. And the stats from, geez, almost 6 years ago was there were 20,000 speaking opportunities, speaking events that are planned, 20,000 daily on average.
What? Daily?
Yes, daily.
That's crazy.
Here in the US, the conference and meeting industry is a huge moneymaker. We actually have almost half of those 20,000 at 7,500.
Wow. A day.
That's a day. That's 150 opportunities per state. Now, granted, December, January, February, people really aren't going to Alaska. They're going to like Hawaii, California,
I'm okay
Texas.
with that.
They're in more of the southern.
It's
So,
news.
yeah, so it can be a little off. And that number is based on meeting rooms that are rented.
Okay.
So in other words, you could have an association that is renting for the morning. They're going to have a morning conference, 4 hours, and they've got 3 speakers.
Hmm.
Still only counts as one. It's one event. So that 20,000 is really grossly underestimated.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of private events that are happening where you have to be personally invited to that event. Those don't count.
Oh, interesting.
Podcasts, speaking on podcasts, all those 60 plus podcast episodes, that to me is a stage.
Mhm.
I'm bringing you onto my stage and you are speaking in front of my audience, my listeners. So speaking really does need to be redefined,
Yeah.
and
I agree.
stages needs to be redefined.
Right. And I
So
understand that. And I do, as a business person and, getting in front of other people's audiences, like I'm getting in front
mhm,
of your audience
mhm,
and like I bring people on to my stage and you've been on my stage,
yes.
which
Yes,
is
I have. I
fun.
really yeah, I had a great time too.
Well, you can come back anytime.
Thank you.
My
So
my stage is your stage. Okay.
thank you. So which sort of leads me into something else regarding that you have a podcast is to start talking about like there are 7 different episodes that I believe that as a podcaster that you should be recording so that you can let people know that you are a speaker. And
Okay.
I will share what those 7 actually are. I did a presentation for a podcasting group and it was all about how to use speaking to grow your listenership. So there are 7 different podcast episodes that you should be planning to record.
Like solo episodes. Yeah.
Solo episodes so that people that are listening know that, oh, she's a speaker.
Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
we can book her. This is what it's like to work with her. Like these are all the different episodes that you can be having. Even just having an episode per different speaking topics
Okay.
so that whoever's listening, this is perfect for this kind of an audience. It can be an hour, a half day, a full day workshop. If you're interested, reach out. The link is down below. So you can have these solo episodes that are even dedicated to each of your keynotes. And then what I've done, if you look on my speaker page, I take that from, and I use Captivate, but I take the code from Captivate and I put it on the speaker page. So now if a meeting planner comes to my website, they see here's keynote presentation number 1. Oh, there's a podcast episode on this. Let me listen to this. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing people more into my world before they book the call.
Oh, okay. Right.
So that's an idea on how to be using your podcast stage to be getting on other stages.
Hmm. Okay. Hadn't thought about that.
Another one is all the different places that you have spoken for.
I haven't really spoken for organizations. I mean, not really.
Even like the corporate trainings that you've done,
Mm.
even if you worked for them, are there people that are still at that organization or that you had met when you were working there that you could reconnect with?
Maybe, but I don't know that I really wanna speak to them. S so
Okay. That's okay, but you never but just reconnecting with
Yeah.
people, you just never know who they know.
Right, okay.
Okay, and I think it's episode number 262 where I talk a little bit more about opening the door to the conversation and how to start with your warm market.
Okay.
Just letting people know. Do you have a speaker page on your website?
I have a media page that has my podcast stuff, but it's not doesn't say speaker, it says media.
Okay, I want you to have a speaker page.
Separate from the media page?
Yes, absolutely.
And it's
Because if I am a meeting planner and I heard about you through a friend
yes.
who said that she's a great speaker. I heard her at this conference. I go to your website and I click on the media and all I see is podcasts. I'm just be like, I thought I thought Mary Jane said that she was a speaker.
Mhm.
Oh well, I'll move on to the next name that I have. And that's what happens. You just gotta make it so easy for them. They are so busy, just like you and I. We're
Mm.
so busy, we don't have a whole lot of time to be fishing around because a lot of times I will get people who say, "Oh, my speaker information's underneath my about me." Again, don't make it so hard.
Right.
So, episode 197 is another one that I want you to listen to
Yep.
because that talks about the 7 essentials that your speaker page needs to have.
I think I may have listened to that one because I've listened
Okay.
to a lot of your episodes.
Thank you.
I have. Well, but just because they're so good and it's all, you know, just what you need and not what you don't need.
Right, thank
It's
you.
very yes, very
Thank you.
good.
So that's a couple of ideas for you.
Okay. And I'm also thinking about doing a rebrand, and we kinda talked about this, if you don't mind if we can take a couple
Yeah,
minutes.
please, let's
Um,
talk about it.
just because, all of the guest appearances that I've done have been around Equus coaching, which I think is a fabulous topic, and
Mhm.
he wants to know how I got there. So I have a really good, backstory, life story. And the thing is, I want to kind of refocus my business to be more about midlife strategists, like my podcast,
Mhm.
Strategies for Badass Women. So around that framework, and not I'm not getting rid of the Equus coaching, but right now, if you go to my website, it's all Equus coaching. And so it doesn't, unless you're willing to travel to me or fly me to you, which I'm happy to do, by the way, it's more one-on-one. It's not really scalable. And I want to be able to reach more people with my message,
Yeah.
and have the, equine experience be something that is, really kind of like the ultimate experience or
Yeah,
an exclusive experience.
I like that, and here's what I'm seeing is, like, you're focusing on this midlife strategist, and, yeah, maybe once a year you announce to your clientele, "I'm doing this retreat,
Mhm.
and, yep, you gotta come here, and this is when it is, and you just fill it up."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then host it. I could see you doing that, like, next summer,
Mhm.
and you just gotta start mentioning it on your podcast.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of retreats scheduled that I've had to cancel because, from lack of signups. But,
But now you
I
got a podcast that is specifically targeting
right.
your
Yes,
ideal people.
exactly. Yes.
So, here's what I think,
Okay.
especially when it comes to midlife. I think we're starting to see, which is so nice. I mean, because like 20 years ago, people weren't talking about all of this midlife and, perimenopause and menopause, all these changes that happen. But I think there's a lot of people that are taking up this space now. And some of the people that I know, it's like, "Hey, this is the life cycle that I'm in." So now they're talking more about it. So
Mm.
I would love for you to become that key person.
Yeah,
Become a category of 1.
I love
What
that.
like,
Category of one,
yes, what could you stand for that is like, "This is key"?
midlife badass women. How the
But what does that mean?
Well, how to not shrink into oblivion and not feel invisible. Be okay being seen. Here I am talking about being scared on stage, right? Was that for how was that
Yeah,
for a transformation?
there you go. I know exactly.
Do as I say, not as I do. No, so I really do think that that would be yes, how to be bold, how to not play small, and how to, be unapologetic and feel good in your body and feel good in your I also like to work with equanimity and finding that calm in the center of
Mhm.
chaos. And
Mhm.
I think in midlife, it can be very chaotic because you don't know where to turn, you don't know what to do, your identity is shifting. So, learn to shift your identity, learn to let go of that old identity.
Okay, so I could see you saying, "Don't shrink down, get out there, be bold, be heard, be seen." And even though this is something that you're struggling with, take people along on this journey.
Oh, there you go.
Here's what like IG stories. If you feel brave enough, like do an IG live and just take people along with your journey. Like, this is what I stand for. And when you break down the word leader, it means pathfinder.
Mhm.
So you could be that leader and come follow me, do what I'm doing. I'm just here to share one tip. I'm here to be seen because I matter. You matter. So pick up your phone, hit IG, 60-second story. Like, how harmless is that? It's a 60-second story. It's going to be gone in 24 hours. But you could be telling people, but make sure you download it to your own phone because and I want this for you too. I want you to see the transformation in 30 days. I want you to see how good you get because you did 30 reps.
You talking to me or you talking about
I'm talking,
talking to
well,
people?
both. I'm talking to you to do this, but so that you can see the difference.
Mhm.
When I did my very first Facebook Live, now I was like, had 15, 18 years of professional speaking. I
Mm.
was used to being on stages, holding microphones. I hit record on this Facebook Live and I'm staring at the green dot and I turn into this very flat, personality-less person.
You?
Sharing my tips. There was no story. Maybe I shared like who I was, and I'd never done a Facebook Live before.
Yeah.
I didn't have an audience to engage with, which is what I
Right.
was so used to. Now it's so different. And I know that Facebook has made some changes and they've taken down all those videos after a certain amount of time. So it's probably gone unless my assistant at the time put it on YouTube. But I left it up there because I wanted people to see that's what somebody with speaking experience sounded like when she did her first Facebook Live.
Mm. Yeah.
But I got better over time. Same thing with my podcast.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to your first episode?
No. Well, so the first one I was going to do because I was gonna dedicate it to my mom and all this other stuff, and I was talking and I started and I stopped, and I started and I stopped, and I started and I stopped. Finally, I had 2 friends come on and interview me,
I love
so I
that
did that instead. I
because you
have since
started and
done
stopped.
solo episodes, and when I first did a couple of solo episodes, I know because you are mostly solo episodes where you just talk
Yes.
about stuff, whereas my show is more of an interview-based show. But, yeah, when I did my first couple it just seemed awkward because it just seemed awkward to me, and now it's not as bad. I can talk to myself pretty well.
There you go. There you go. So I want you to walk the talk that you're asking your audience to do.
Hmm.
Take them along with you on the journey, the daily journey on IG. It only takes a minute. Easy. And then start implementing some of those episodes for your podcast to get on more stages to let people know that you're a speaker. Put speaker in your bio.
So on
Become
my speaker page that doesn't currently exist, what do I
Yeah.
put there if I don't have any proof that I was a speaker on anything?
That's okay. That's okay. That episode's gonna walk you through the 7 essentials that you need to have,
Oh,
and
right.
one of the things that I
Nice.
do tell people is and I even say it in the episode, and if you haven't done any speaking, don't worry. You're just gonna add things on as you get them.
Mhm.
Like, if you have any testimonials from doing any workshops, it's about you speaking, maybe not
Mm,
specifically for that keynote, but this is what you're like. Just start doing them. Speak in people's private communities. If you've done any of that, like reach out to people. Can I get in a testimonial? I know it's been 2 years since I did that for you. I could come back, but you just
right.
like tell them like I'm putting together a speaker page. That episode actually will walk you through. So if you don't have any pictures of you speaking, there's ways around that, by the way.
Called AI. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
but also just, like you get a handheld microphone. Just take like an upper body shot of you holding a microphone.
Yeah.
It just says that you're a speaker. It doesn't have to be from a specific event. And then as you do speak at events, whether it's virtual or in person, then you'll get more photographs. One of the things that I've done, like when I've done virtual events for big audiences, I put it in gallery and I basically just kind of take a screenshot
Mhm.
and
Like a
later
selfie with the
on.
gallery in the background.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I did, but I didn't want to do it while I was speaking, but here's an actual audience that I spoke to, and here's the gallery view of everybody.
Right.
So I'll use that later, and then I kind of like position my microphone and I took a picture and you can ask, like your significant other or a friend to take a picture from behind. So they're seeing the back of you, but they see the screen. So there's lots of great ideas with a virtual audience also. But let's just get you booked.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and the key thing is knowing, here's my speech, like, here's 3 different speeches. You'll learn this in that podcast episodes, 197. Here's the 3 different speeches, but what's the big problem that you solved? Really understanding, like, what the big problem is that you solve. A lot of people come to me, and if you're on my email list and you email me, you reply to my emails, I will reply back, and a lot of times I hear people say, "Well, I want to inspire and motivate people." I'm like, "That's great, but that doesn't solve a problem."
Yes.
Because that's what meeting planners, that's what coaches who are bringing you into their high-end mastermind, they're looking for a problem to be solved. So what is the problem that you solve?
Yes.
With midlife women, it is using your voice and not shrinking and showing up, being proud.
Yeah. Being present. Be the horse.
Be the horse. Oh. How does that all feel? Do you got any questions?
Oh, yes, I do. I have a million
I
questions,
don't
but no.
know. I
You've given me lots of information to go on here and some research to do and also get clear with my messaging.
yeah.
And I think that's key.
Yeah, and keep repeating it over and over and over again. Build your tribe. And the best thing to getting booked easily once you're on stage is to be outstanding on the stage. Be so good that people can't help but rave about you, remember you, and then refer you to others.
Yes. Be outstanding.
Yes, yes.
And
Okay, Sue, what is 1 or 2 gold nuggets that you're walking away with today?
I would say in my personal case is that I have been speaking on a lot of places and that it's not there's nothing different about having been on podcast versus being on stage. I mean, other than the fact that you're in front of live people and
Mhm.
that I've already been out there, putting myself out there and being seen. And it's just a different step in a different direction. And it's nothing to be scared about. And
Right.
I need to just say, I'm a speaker.
That's right. Awesome, awesome. So, Sue, where can people find you, follow you, and most importantly, learn from you?
Yes, you can go listen to my podcast, Midlife Strategies for Badass Women. My website is willoughbycoaching.com, and I am most frequently on Instagram, which is Sue underscore Willoughby.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to the show and
You.
raising your hand for this coaching. So, till next week, I want you to be in demand. And if you would like to book your very own speaker breakthrough session, stick around. Are you tired of hearing crickets on social media? Wondering where to get seen by the right people? Or frustrated with the growth of your business? Then the Speaker Breakthrough Session is just for you. During this free 20-minute discovery call, I'll help you recognize where you're leaving money and opportunity on the table. You'll walk away with tips and a strategy to leverage speaking opportunities to get positioned as the expert, visible to the right people, and monetize your expertise. Book your call at speakandstandout.com/SBS for Speaker Breakthrough Session.